Alrighty, trying take 6 here on this project. I had a lot to gather and prepare for this particular lesson. So we are going to do hope rocks, and this could really be a family project, and everybody can do this. And really, it's just kind of to create something that you can leave behind at a trail or in someone's yard, in their flower bed, or along a pathway, just to encourage and bring a smile and just a different way to connect with people during our quarantine. So my hope rocks say all different kinds of things. It says be grateful. This one says family. This one says don't quit, do it. This one says how are you? This one says hope. This one says do the next right thing. And then this one's totally different. I got this from a friend, and just to kind of honor our healthcare workers, hopefully put a smile on their faces, especially when we can't see people's smiles these days. So hope rocks, trying to leave some hope behind. All right, so your supplies that you're going to need are some rocks, and the big deal about your rocks is that they're smooth. Okay, they have a smooth surface, so they don't have to be this color, they don't have to be this shape. This one's about the size of the palm of my hand. It doesn't matter. What matters is that it's smooth, because when you paint on it, it'll be a lot kinder as you're working with lettering or your detailed designs and stuff. So go ahead and gather whatever you have. Maybe you have a stream by you, and that's a great place to find rocks. Just bring a bucket and collect some. The water smooths down the surface of the rock, so a creek or a river. Maybe you have stuff in your yard, or you can ask your parents where you might get some rocks. So once you get your rocks, you need to wash them with soap and water and let them dry. And they won't take long to dry. And then once you do that, you're going to need to spray them with something. All right, this is what I have on hand. It's a finishing spray. This is a matte finish, and matte means flat, so it doesn't have a shine to it. You might have one that says high gloss. It really makes no difference. You just need to coat the rock, mainly because it'll seal it, because rocks have a porousness to them and they'll absorb your paint. So this kind of seals it, and then you're not using up a whole bunch of your paint. So if you don't have this, maybe you have like old house paint, some latex paint. You can put a layer over top of it. And if you don't have anything, then you just move on. And all that means is when you decide on your colors, you may have to put 2 or 3 or 4 coats on it so that it doesn't look streaky. So we're going to use acrylics for this, whatever kind you have. There's all different brands out there. It's just basically craft paint, and hopefully you have a little stash of this somewhere. You can use whatever colors you have. It doesn't make any difference. Your rocks do not have to say the same thing as my rocks, the same colors. It's all up to you. You are the artist. These are just ideas, okay? So you'll need your paints. You'll need some brushes. For this project, probably a pointed tip is best for detail work, and then this is just what I have to cover the rock quickly for its first coat of paint. And you'll need some water to clear your brushes, and a palette. So if you don't have a paint palette like this, then you can just use a paper plate. That's fine. And then you're going to need some Sharpie markers. Okay, so whatever you have on hand, go and collect your stuff, wash your rocks, spray them, gather your supplies, and then meet me back here. Okay, I'm going to set these off to the side, and we're going to work on 2. We're going to work on our healthcare worker, and then we're just going to make a hope rock. Now, your rock can say anything. Maybe you have a favorite saying or a favorite word or something that you know is funny. We'll put a smile on someone's face. It could be scripture, the fruit of the Spirit. Really, it's entirely up to you. All right, move this to the side here. So I have this towel. It's just my painter's towel. I've had it forever and ever. And just something to work on so I don't get paint on the table. All right, so when you use your paints, a tendency is, you want to shake it up a little bit, is to like squirt a whole bunch out, and you don't need a whole bunch, okay? So when you put it in there, you can always add more, but it's just like a little dime size, really. That's really all you need. So I'm gonna put a first layer on here. Now some paints are not all created equal. Some will be nice and thick and will cover your surface well, and then others will be thinner and will suck up all that paint, and you'll need a couple of coats. Now, I don't do the underside of my rocks. You sure can. If you do your rock and not that you really can mess it up, but if you feel like you've messed it up, you can just turn it over and do the other side. So, but start out looking at your rock and choosing which side you feel is flattest and doesn't have a lot of dimples and holes in it. So this paint is pretty decent. It's covering pretty well. So that's going to be my colorful Hope rock. And then you can choose a flesh tone for your healthcare worker rock. So this one I chose this color, and then for my next one I'm going to choose this flesh color. All right. And again, whatever you have. All right. So shake that up a little bit of paint in your tray, and go ahead and put some paint on there. Now some acrylics, they kind of get these little like nubby things in them as they sit, if you haven't used them in a while. If you get, a blob in there, just kind of get it off and dip it on the side of your plate or palette, whatever you have. So see, the brown really isn't spreading as nicely as the blue. So this will take a couple coats. All right. So this is really a exercise in patience, because you have to wait for this to dry, which could take, I don't know, maybe 35, 40 minutes or so. And you need to come back. So clean your brush in between each of your colors. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set these aside and bring in these other two that I've already put 2 coats of paint on, just so that I can move along in our video. All right, move these guys over here. All right. So again, you can choose however you want to create your rock. I kind of did a middle color and followed the contour of this particular rock to make a center where I put the lettering. There's another one. So contour is just finding the edge and following the edge, just one of our art words. So I think for this, I might do just white with that turquoise color. And I'm going to follow the contour of my stone. I might use a smaller brush. And you're going to use your artist's eye. Now, if you feel more comfortable, you can use a pencil and draw the shape that you want in the middle here, but I just use my artist's eye and I follow the shape of the rock. And can you see how when my brush is flat and I'm moving it smoothly along, it really makes a nice clean edge. Okay, and if you get little bubbles in there, you just go back over it. When I was little, We used to have something called pet rocks. You ever heard of those before? So they were like little people or creatures or animals, maybe like a superhero, and they had those googly eyes, you know, the kind of eyes that you paste or glue on and they move around. All right, so that's going to be the center that I'll use to do my lettering. So I'm going to set that off to the side and let it dry, and then I'm going to work on my healthcare worker person here. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is make the mask here. So I have this kind of bluish color. And again, you use whatever you have, and if you need to mix colors, right? We've talked a lot about blending and mixing colors, and if you have like a darker blue and you want to lighten it up, what color would you use to lighten it up? White. Yep, you would use white. But I have this blue, so I'm just gonna use what I have. So you can see my mask is about halfway through my rock here. Oops, I just got paint on me. So it's about halfway up that rock. So this mask has kind of a upside down V shape. So this is about the halfway point of my rock. And then I'm going, and again, you can use a pencil, it's up to you. But I'm just gonna use my artist's eye, and I'm gonna think about proportions and the length of one side and try to match that to the length of the other side. Now this kind of curves in where the cheeks are. And then this slopes down where the chin is. This blue is a bit thin, but for our demonstration today, we're just gonna keep going, all right? With that, I had to use a couple layers. I might make this a little bit more of an incline here. So this side's a little bit longer than this side. So I'm gonna go back and that'll be his mask. And I would let that dry if I weren't moving along here. So clean up your brushes when you're changing colors. Now I'm going to do the hat. You know how doctors wear those caps on their heads so that they have their hair all tucked in. So you can choose whatever color that you want. I might just use this color since I've already got that paint in my palette. Okay, and this is really just a curved arc line, all right? So we have to save space for the eyes, all right, in between here and here. So to judge how far you want to come down. So I'm probably going to come about there. All right, so I turned my rock upside down so that I'm being kind to my wrist. I don't need to bend my arm in any kind of weird position. I can move the rock, right? Like we talk about in class, moving the paper when we're cutting or when we're doing our painting or coloring or whatever we're doing. All right, so that'll be his cap. Okay, and then I'm going to switch to my tinier brush and do the white of his eyes. All right, so basically it's just 2 ovals. All right, so I'm gonna do that first. So you wanna think about spacing, all right? So I'm gonna put one on each side of the point of my mask. Try to find like a really pointy brush, whatever is the pointiest one you can find in your stash of art supplies. And go ahead and do both, and then if you need to make any adjustments, you'll see, right? This one's a little narrower than the other one. All right. So the other detail, which, you know, I know this is still wet, but we're gonna outline the mask and put those little ridges in there. And it might not entirely show up right now because it's a little wet, but we're just kind of gonna go with it. So you're just doing the outline of the mask to give it some definition. And if you get paint on your hands, it washes off. If you get it on your clothes, however, acrylic paint is a bit stubborn. It might not come off, so grabbing a smock or wearing old clothes is the way to go. All right, I'm gonna add those little lines, so I'm gonna make a small one at the top and then 2 longer lines. And then the bottom one I'll curve just a little bit. And if it breaks up a little bit, that's okay, because those masks, they do that. Okay, then we're gonna add the ties that go around the ears. So you're probably going to go over the cap part that you did. So my color might mix because it's still wet. So basically they're parallel lines that you're drawing here. Yeah, that's still wet. And then you do it on the other side. All right, I'm gonna let the white dry a little bit on there and go back to this rock, and then we'll do the pupils for this little guy here. Okay, so we've talked about lettering. Remember, we've done lessons on how to center your letters, and you count out how many letters you have. If you have 5 letters, let's say you have the word faith, F-A-I-T-H. If it's an odd amount of numbers, you take the middle letter, and that's the letter that goes in the center. Oh, I forgot, that's the letter that goes in the center. If you have a word like hope, H-O-P-E, that has 4 letters, then you divide the word in half, right? And in that division line, that's where you put, you know, those letters to the one side and the other letters to the other side. That's kind of like your marker to know this is the center of my white circle, and I'm going to put the H and the O and the P and the E on each side of that line. All right, now this is really still wet. How about if we decorate it while it's drying? Maybe we'll do that. I should have made another one of those to prep it, but here we go. All right, so you can do any design. So this one I have little arcs. This one has little flowers coming off of it. This one has hearts all around it. This one has ladybugs on it. All right, so it's really up to you and whatever you feel like what the design that you want to do for your hope rock. Okay, so I'm gonna do, I might just do like little X's around here. X marks the spot. So you just move it around. You think about your spacing, right? I'm moving my rock around instead of moving my wrist around. You want to try to get them to be about the same size. Get them spaced apart correctly. And you know what? If it's not perfect, it's okay. Because love isn't perfect, is it? And we're just trying to spread a little bit of love. I did this video a couple of times. The first time my phone said I didn't have enough storage space, so I had to delete a bunch of stuff. The next time I was doing this and it just stopped recording, but I didn't know and kept right on going. And then I did another one and I was completely off the screen. So I need to learn to become a better videographer in these days of art lessons on YouTube. But I'm doing this because I'm hoping that you're enjoying it, and it's a great way for you to spend your time, to be creative, and you actually have a chance to bless somebody and do something kind. And who doesn't want to do that, right? So when you get close to meeting up on the other side, you want to judge. I think I can fit 2 more in there. Right? You just kind of want to be aware. There we go. Okay. Sorry, I blocked that right there. All right, now while this is drying up a little bit before I put my hand back in it, I'm going to do the irises of our healthcare worker. So I'm going to use black. And you remember we talked about reflective light and how we have to leave a speck of light in a spherical shape. It gives it some of that dimension and certain realness to it, I guess. So put a little bit of paint in there. And I think if you like maybe start off with a U shape, like a horseshoe, see how this, if you just did this part here and did a U shape, that might be a good place to start for you. So I'm gonna get some paint on my brush. And I'm gonna leave a little bit of that reflective light right in the middle there. And then try to make it the same size and make the reflective light in the same place, right? Because light is directional. And it makes sense that it would be in the same place. Okay, so there's his little eyes. Now if you want to decorate the cap, on this one I did like, I used this, I had this sparkly stuff, so I did this cap and put a layer of that on there. I did another one over here with spackling. So this one has just little spackles on it. Do you remember how we did that, where you put paint on your brush and then you hit it against your finger and it splatters onto whatever you're doing? So if you wanted to do that, then after it dries, I would just like lay a piece of paper over his skin and then, you know, just get his hat there. But he's still wet, so I'm just gonna set that to the side and we'll finish, we'll call that finish for him. And then the last part is to add the lettering, which is still a little wet. So you can use a Sharpie marker and pick out whatever color you want. I don't know if this is gonna work because this is still kind of wet. I don't know, I'll see. If not, maybe I'll try painting it on there. So hope, going to write the word hope on here. You can use capital letters, you can use a combination of upper and lowercase letters. It's up to you, right? You can make them thin, you can make them fat, swirly. The sky is the limit. So this is the middle. So my H is going to go about here. I'm just going to do this lightly so I don't peel the paint up. And here's my O. Okay. All right. So maybe when that dries, I'll thicken that up a little bit. All right. So there are your hope rocks. And this would be fun to do as a family, and then to go out and leave them wherever you think somebody might be blessed. Maybe you're allowed on nursing home property and can leave it there, or a friend's house, or whoever you think needs a little bit of brightening in these days. So I miss you all, and I hope that this will inspire you to spread some hope.